Hi there, VC. It's Steve Whitty here with episode 3 of the album reviews. And today, the album I'm going to be looking at is Dire Straits and Brothers in Arms, the band's 5th album. To give you a little bit, you can see it's background. You can see the cover, quite distinctive cover. And this is Mark Knopfler's 1937 National Style Resonator guitar, and you can see on the back there some features on the back. You get the vinyl out. You can see on the covers there, it's sort of features out in the centre of the record on the label. It's quite a vivid cover with the sky blue and pinks, which at the time, in the mid-80s, seemed to be all the rage. I do remember. So, to give a bit more background information on the album, as I said, it's the 5th album by the group, and it was the lineup at the band featured Mark Knopfler on guitars, John Elsley bass, Terry Williams on drums, Alan Clark piano and Hammond organ, and Guy Fletcher, who was the new member of the band at the time, on synths. The album itself was recorded at Air Studios in Montserrat between November 1984 and March 1985. It was co-produced by Mark Knopfler and Neil Dorsman. Neil Dorsman was known to Mark Knopfler and had worked with him before on Love Over Gold and Local Hero. Just recording this album sort of like was the time where digital was really starting to take over. Mark Knopfler himself was very keen to get the sound, the best reproduction of sound he could, and he felt digital was the way forward. And this album is one of the first albums to be recorded on the Sony 24-track digital tape recorder. And such was the commitment of Dire Straits. I do remember seeing the band on the Brothers in Arms tour, and the programme did feature adverts. I think it was sort of like sponsored by Philips, and who used it to promote their CD players at the time. 1985, CD players was just starting to take off. They weren't the price of them was starting to come down, and a few more CDs were starting to appear. The band, before recording the album, the band rehearsed quite heavily back in London, and it really then that when they felt ready to record, they got the songs all down, they flew out to record. During recording, for whatever reason, Neil Dorsman felt that Terry Williams' drumming sort of didn't fit in, and during that point he was actually out of the band, and with most of the album appeared to have been being recorded, and Omar Hakim was brought in. Now Omar Hakim was recording with Sting, I believe, at the time. He was the drummer on Dream of the Blue Turtles, so he briefly became a member of the band, and we did all the drum parts in 2 days. However, there's one piece of Terry Williams' drumming that remained on the album, and that is the drum crescendo that leads into Money for Nothing before the guitar riff. And for whatever reason, Omar Hakim didn't want to be a full member of Dire Straits. He couldn't commit to touring, whatever, and Terry Williams found himself back in for the tour. Now, as I said, this is an album that sort of like straddles between LP and CD, and in fact, the LP version I'm holding is shorter than the CD and cassette. Running time for this album is 47 minutes 21 seconds. On the CD and cassette, it's 55 minutes and 7 seconds. And this is mainly because the tracks on side 1 were longer on the CD than they were on the LP. And I think, actually, I prefer the LP version, not because this is VC or whatever, but because I think what you're getting is just, you're not getting anything different, but just extended playouts. And I think sometimes less is more than just instrumental fade outs. So side one opens with So Far Away, and this was the first single in the UK. And it, to me, was saying it, when I first heard it, I was so disappointed. I just thought, oh, this ain't right. I mean, I just ordered my tickets to go and see Dire Straits, and I was expecting better. Your first song on the album is supposed to be your statement of intent, and so I just thought, oh, hear Mark Knopfler pining that he's so far away from his love. It's not a bad song, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't what I wanted as an opening track. And if I had anything to do with the running order, this would never be the first track on the album. It'd be on the album, but not the opening track. It all changed with Money for Nothing, and this is the second track, and it's co-written by Sting, as I mentioned, who's out in Montserrat doing Dream of the Blue Turtles, and it's ironic. It's one of only 2 tracks that Mark Knopfler has ever co-written for Dire Straits. Sting gets a co-write on this, and the song, it's top 10 single in the UK, number 1 in America, and it's a bit of an attack. It's sort of, I see it as a bit of an attack on MTV, which is ironic because probably the most memorable part about it is the video itself, computer animated video, which now look at it looks very clunky and junky, but at the time it was very much state of the art. But it seemed to be sort of like attacking MTV, all about image, and the fact that music, you could compare music to microwave ovens and custom kitchens, and it's almost consumerism. It's just a piece of consumer product. And it may foretold something, because quite a lot of this music today is just a piece of consumerism. With your X Factors and Britain's Got Talents, or whatever the equivalent is, wherever you're watching from. As I said, that's the best track on the album. Third track totally changes, another change of tack, Walk of Life. Now this almost didn't make the album because Neil Dawson didn't rate the track, he didn't want it on the album. The band sort of overruled him, and probably with good sense as well, because this gave the band a number 2 single, and in the UK it was number 7 in the US. It's just a jaunty, feel-good song. I don't really know what it's about, but you got the keyboard riff, and it's just great. It's a great little song. So track 4 is one of those album tracks where I just like it. It's just very mellow, your latest trick. On the album, it just goes straight into the saxophone part. It's a very late night, very mellow piece of music I really like. It's just absolutely a corking track. I really enjoyed it. Side 1 closes with Why Worry, and this is an example where they had a long instrumental track at the end. Basically, the song is just a guitar, and it's sort of I almost see it like a bit of a lullaby. It's why worry now? Just rest. It's nothing to worry about. And on the LP it's 5 minutes 22. The instrumental fade out makes it 8 minutes 31 on the CD. And again, this is one of those cases where less is more. Good track though. Side 2 opens with Ride Across the River, and it's on side 2. Knopfler's sort of looking at militarism in a little way. And Ride Across the River, again, another quiet song to open a side with. And this has a bit of a Latin American feel. It's just, and I remember when watching them, this opened the show. And it's almost like almost apologetically walked out on stage, stop playing this, while the audience was, the band's on, and it's like slowly walking in with their beers or whatever, just to take their seats to watch the group. Yeah, it's not a bad song. Again, it's probably a little bit, and it needs to build up a bit. Whereas track 2 The Man's Too Strong, I just think it's a corking song. It's almost like a folky opening, and then crashes in with the keyboards into the crescendo of the chorus with the keyboard bashing away. This song's really about a soldier who is killing himself, or is maybe fearing that if he shows his feelings, it's going to be seen as a sign of weakness. The man's too big, the man's too strong. But I think what a great song. It was great live, actually. Brilliant song done live. Third track on side 2, One World, is just a throwaway track. I don't really, I find it very difficult to think why it's on the album, to be quite honest. It's almost a B-side. Mate, I did some like for bass play, but it just fills a space, I think, for me. And that's only for me. Mark Knopfler might tell me different. It might, but he isn't going to admit it's as good a song as a swing, is he? But the album closer, the title track, Brothers in Arms, it's very close to Money for Nothing to being the best track on the album. It tells the tale. It's the subject of the futility and senselessness of conflict, war, and it's seen through a soldier's eyes with you, my brothers in arms. I just think it's in the way it's on that level. It's almost a mournful, pitiful level, and then the album, it just fades out the instrumental. Knopfler's playing was just brilliant on this guitar. Playing was just brilliant on this track, and it just fades out. And it's just so brilliant. The album itself, I think, sort of, this would have been a perfect point for Dire Straits to finish, and I'm pretty sure Knopfler wanted to finish Dire Straits at that point. He did do another album, 1991. I can't remember the name of it. That was that memorable, but it almost felt like they were just doing it just to. It maybe he had to get rid of an album to finish the contract with Dire Straits. Back to Brothers in Arms. It sold 30 million worldwide. It is the 8th biggest selling album in the UK of all time. I do have a theory for that. It's around the time people might initially bought the album, then started buying their first CD players and replaced the album with a CD. I've got a CD version of this as well. It spent 10 weeks at the UK #1, 228 weeks in the chart overall. In the US, it spent 9 weeks at #1. In Australia, it spent 34 weeks at #1. It is by far their best album. Well, yes, it is their best album. It's a toss-up between that and Love Over Gold, but I think it is their best album. I think it sort of like sums up the mid-80s for me. So that is Dire Straits Brothers in Arms. I hope you enjoyed that review. If you liked what you heard and you want to put a comment, feel free. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm happy to take it either way. And if you're happy with what you've seen, you want to see more, click the subscribe button. So until the next review or the next video of Vinyl Finds, I'm back off to listen to Bartley James Harvest. So until then, take care. Bye.